Our studio guest today is a man rated amongst the top 6 goalkeepers in the country, Bryan King of Millwall. But first of all today we're going to move off down the Old Kent Road to Millwall for their match against Portsmouth. And indeed a local beauty queen there to greet the players as they come out for what is sure to be a hard, relentless struggle for points as both clubs seek survival at the bottom of the second division. And their nerves will not be helped by a gale-force wind that is sweeping towards our camera there. And now the two teams, Millwall, without Mike Dillon from Spurs in the defence, Barry Kitchener returns. Tommy Baldwin of Chelsea has his last game before his loan period is up. Portsmouth's biggest problem is scoring goals. They've managed only 8 in their past 14 games. Now have Ray Hiron back after breaking a toe. A lot of talent out there. And for Millwall, what does the former QPR defender Tony Hazel think about the pressure that is now on Millwall?
Well, obviously the lads are under a lot of pressure, you know, being at the bottom of the league. Right? But, you know, there's pressure anywhere you play in Football League. You know, every game's important, really. Well, we need to win today. That's definite, you know.
And what does Portsmouth's former Arsenal star Peter Marinello think about his form?
It's not bad. Playing a bit better the last 3 weeks, you know, so I hope to hit off today. I think we're due a good result because we've been playing quite well without scoring the goals. We've been playing quite good football, but without putting them in.
The referee, Peter Reeves from Leicester, and now the crowd at the Den waits for the start.
And so it's Portsmouth then who get us away, attacking the goal to our right and immediately losing the ball to Gordon Hill of Millwall. Portsmouth who are in the red shirts with the white shorts. Millwall in an all-white strip and both sides in a fair bit of desperate trouble. Portsmouth 19th in the second division, Millwall bottom. And of course the thing that is not going to help at all here in what is bound to be a desperate battle for points is the fact that the wind is very high indeed. Blustery, and it'll make control very, very difficult indeed. Peter Marinello then for Portsmouth. A little flick on, Marinello can't get back to it, and Saul can turn it back to goalkeeper Bryan King. Hand is the Portsmouth defender there. Stevenson jumping for that one and winning it. Mickey Mellow's going in there and losing it though, and chipped on there for Clark, and there was an instance where the ball held up in the wind, and in the end David Best had to fly hack it away when he thought he was able to catch it. And here's Tommy Baldwin again for Millwall, into the space there with Saul after it, and down this time Saul was offside. Frank Saul now operating very skillfully in the midfield for Millwall, for so long a striker of course in his Tottenham days. Hill, Kitchener, Saul again, and Hazel turning it back to King. The wind very much behind Portsmouth, but of course it's so strong that it's going to be difficult for whether it's your way or against you. It's going to be difficult to measure your passes. King hardly reaching the halfway line with that kick from the edge of his own area. And there was an infringement which gives Portsmouth the free kick. Paul went. Ball coming through to Mellows again. A long-range shot, and King had to dive to keep that one out from Mickey Mellows. Big, tall number 11, used to play for Sutton United. Hiron, John Moore, 18-year-old boy they bought from Bristol Rovers. Summerhill couldn't gather that one up. Stevenson, the short ball to hand again. Marinello taking on Hazel. Played on this time for Billy Wilson, and there's a great shot! Oh, and what a save! What a save by Bryan King. No wonder Wilson shook his head. He could hardly believe it. He caught it beautifully, and it looked as though he was going just inside that post until Bryan King made a truly magnificent save. Still 0-0, and a corner then to Portsmouth. Hit low this time. Saul getting it away, and Piper can't get it back in again. Hand going across to help out, and here's Paul Went. Hand Portsmouth having the better of this first half, as you would expect, with the wind so much in their favour. But here's another Millwall raider. Saul sets Hill away. Question again for Summerhill, and somehow he missed it when it might have been easier to score. He'll be very disappointed with that, Summerhill. That was a beautiful break by Millwall. As Hill floated that cross in, it seemed tailor-made for Summerhill, Phil Summerhill. Donaldson. Hill jumping. And a free kick. And versus Clark. Donaldson. Saul. Hand is down. And Millwall are on the move again. He'll come in nicely this time for Hill. Summerhill taking it from him, but I think he showed too much of it. Indeed, he had to Roberts. And still Hand injured. Portsmouth without one defender, and now maybe with a chance for the trainer to come on. Ricky Mellows. I'm sure Sutton United fans will remember him. Well, it looks as though that left knee is... Oh, golly, it looks... Oh, that's very swollen. So Hand is in a bit of trouble, and he has looked a good, strong defender. And Ken Foggo, the substitute, formerly with Norwich, warming up on the far side. That really would be a blow to Portsmouth. And it looks as though Iron Hand... He wants to come back on, but his left knee looks far from well. I doubt very much if he's going to come back on. Now it's Mellows. Hazel. Now Hiron. Mellows. Oh, shoved off the ball there by Baldwin, and a free kick to Portsmouth. Wilson with the free kick, who slotted into that left-back position with Hand off the field. And Hand still wandering along the touchline. And Ken Foggo's gone back in the substitutes pit there. Oh, that was a push in the back by Went on Clark. And Hand, in fact, is coming back onto the field. He's on the field for Portsmouth. But I wonder for how long, or indeed how effectively. Clark trying to get underneath this one. Baldwin trying to retrieve it for Millwall. It comes back to Tony Hazel again. The flick for Tommy Baldwin. They've come forward, but they haven't caught him offside this time, as Baldwin floats in again. Frank Saul is in there, and Summerhill couldn't quite get to it. The ball wouldn't reach him, held up again by the wind. And Millwall get merely a throw on the far side. That was an occasion when Portsmouth were thinking about playing the offside and didn't really play with enough conviction and could have got caught themselves. Roberts now for Portsmouth again. Only Summerhill is up, and Dorney turns it into touch. Significant that Foggo is still going through his exercise on the far side, which probably means that they're putting Hand on just for a couple of minutes or so to see whether he can make anything of it. Iron playing it through again, and here's Mellows. Wilson's gone belting through the left-hand side for him, and here is Hand, virtually the first touch of the ball he's had since he came back on. The short pass to Marinello. Still with Marinello, gathering pace all the time and getting in his shot, but again he's wide. But again the policy is right, shooting from all angles while this wind is so fiercely behind them, because they're really going to face a battle, Portsmouth, in the second half, if they've not stuck anything past Bryan King in this first half. Mellows. And Hand, yes, he's going off. He kicked that ball, and Hand said, no, there's no way that I can stay on. And he's got to go off. Well, that's a bad blow for Portsmouth, because he'd looked a good, strong defender who'd been able to attack as well. And so with 26 minutes gone, they've had to make this substitution, and Foggo will be coming on. Stevenson played for Billy Wilson, who will probably stay in the full-back position now. Here's McMillows. Played back again by Hiram to Piper, who might get in a shot himself, just curling in there, but without power. Piper. Andy Stewart after it, but beaten by Moore. And Piper with a throw for Portsmouth. But obviously it must have been either a foul throw or taken from the wrong place, and it's a chance for Portsmouth to bring on Ken Foggo. And now it's John Moore. Donaldson won't reach it. Roberts turns it away. Another throw to Millwall. Summerhill. Free kick to Millwall. And Frank Saul then will take this free kick for Millwall. Some 7 minutes to go to half-time. Having been on the defensive for so long, but with the wind going to be in their favour in the second half, what a bonus if they could just pop one in now. Kitchener's right in there, aiming towards the goal, and Summerhill was no more than a yard wide. Once Kitchener had got that header, Best was in a lot of trouble, and Summerhill almost nipped in there. Just a fraction wide. Wilson being hustled, but still finding Norman Piper for Portsmouth. Well, he's put onside by that Portsmouth pass back from Hiram. Saul trying to get it inside the full back for Gordon Hill, but Stevenson spotted that well for Portsmouth, but it's a throw to Millwall. Referee checked with both lines on that the time is up, and the time that he's added on for injuries, but here's young John Moore going in there, tried to get that in. And Roberts getting it away for Portsmouth. But now Hill for Millwall. There's his shot. Now will it go now? Clark can't quite force it over, and Mellows is right in there. And that was almost a disaster of Portsmouth's own making. Presenting the ball to Millwall, and as it's cut it across that 6-yard area, Summerhill pushed it on to Clark. He couldn't quite force it home. And we stick then at 0-0. As the whistle goes for half-time, no goals, all the game going Portsmouth's way with this gale force wind behind them. A tremendous save by Bryan King from Billy Wilson that keeps the scoreboard at 0-0. And now Millwall are going to have the wind at their backs, and it's going to be David Best's turn in that Portsmouth goal really to face the music in the second half. Well, a lot more to come on the big match this afternoon, but a half-time score then at the Den that reads Millwall 0, Portsmouth 0, and we'll be right back with the second half. Well, welcome back to the Den here in South London. Millwall now will be kicking off, attacking the goal to our left. The wind hard behind them, and they really now have the chance to get the upper hand. 0-0, having held out against all those Portsmouth attacks in the first half. And here's Tony Hazel now for Millwall. Summerhill. And a throw to Portsmouth. Portsmouth, who've only won twice away in the league at Nottingham Forest and at Bristol Rovers, and really are going to be hard put to do it now. Dorney going in there with Marinello. Big Barry Kitchener. John Moore. What a fair-looking ball there until Roberts cut it out. Here's Moore again, though. Now Frank Saul. Bit of space ahead of him. A cross going in there, but he didn't really take into account the breeze behind him. And Millwall at the moment not making as much of the wind behind them. as Portsmouth did in the first half, even though Portsmouth were held to a goalless first half. They looked a lot more dangerous than Millwall have contrived to look in the opening 10 minutes of this second half. Storney played back again. That could be dangerous because King has got to hack it straight into touch. Piper was right in there, and so was Stewart. Roberts crossing it in again for Portsmouth. And now Hill. Battle between the two number 11s, and Mellows wins it for Portsmouth, gets it back again. Wilson loses out as Donaldson now can take it up. It's the long ball. And Best really took his life in his hands there, hacking that one away. It could so easily have hit straight at Summerhill. Now it's Foggo. Dorney coming across to cover, and Portsmouth throw. Hiron. Roberts, first time cross again, could be dangerous. And a corner to Portsmouth, who are having more of the play against the wind than Millwall had during the first half. Big tall Hiron right in the 6-yard area, number 8. Mellows, who is also a big fellow, Mickey Mellows, number 11. Well, that's not away yet by any means. Wilson with a first time shot, which is certainly a darn sight nearer the corner flag than the goal. Saul. Good running there by Hazel, and Saul spotted him well. So cross coming in again. Well, that was disappointment there for Millwall fans that Brian Clark didn't get closer to the goal than that, but they must be very, very difficult balls to judge coming in on the win. Now Frank Saul. Got Summerhill on ahead of him. And Summerhill winning that one. And little Ken Foggo right back in there. And Roberts finding the way back is absolutely cleared by Brian Clark. And Portsmouth have to find another way out. Another flick on for Millwall. Donaldson taking it up now for them. And a corner. Well, it's from these sort of situations where Millwall have got to make something count. Kitchener's gone up there again. Here's Donaldson, the number 2, whose determination got them that corner. A deeper one this time. Headed away there. Moore trying to knock it back in. Saul hopeful of making some sort of contact, and now it comes to Marinello. And it's 2 against 2. And Marinello using his pace very well indeed. Still with Marinello, and the shot beautifully cut out in the end by Dorney. Good defence by Alan Dorney. And some good pacey attack there from Peter Marinello. So from a corner at one end, it's now a corner to Portsmouth, which Marinello will take. And not very well. Portsmouth throw. Roberts. Curled in again. Hill is touching it on, but Alan Stevenson's there. Foggo along the line for Hiron. Marinello, now he's the man who could really open it up for Portsmouth, but not that time. Hiron showing determination. And an offside. I think that was probably against Andy Stewart, the little number 9. It got right inside that 6-yard area. And Doug Alder, the substitute for Millwall, beginning to warm up on the far side. Summerall's header. Tony Hazel. Stewart, and there's a ball now for Piper. A great run for him. And into the side netting, but a beautiful counter-attack there by Portsmouth. And some superb running there by Norman Piper. Getting well clear of that Millwall defence, but into the side netting. And Alder is coming on. Looks so it's Summerall who's going off. Number 8. So Doug Alder is on. Referee looking at his watch. Mellows, Saul, Wilson, and Saul again. Trying to force his way through there. But it's Portsmouth who've looked the more organised side, and here they are again now with Piper. Keeping possession now, knowing there's just a few seconds left. Wilson leaving it again for Marinello. Doing very well indeed, Marinello. Tried to get the cross in, stopped that time by Donaldson, an old Arsenal teammate of his. A throw to Portsmouth. Well into injury time. Doesn't really seem to be time for Millwall to get down to the other end of the field, so it looks at least a point for Portsmouth, unless Millwall can really break and do something now. Alder. There's a good-looking pass there for Moore as well. But stopped nicely by Roberts for Portsmouth, and they can take it away again. Hiron right up here. Almost 1 against 1. Millwall now getting back to help, though. Saul. Offside by about 10 yards. Gordon Hill. So it's Wilson with the free kick for Portsmouth. Hazel with the throw. Alder there hoping to collect. 2 substitutes there, and it's Foggo who turns it away into touch. We've now played about 3 minutes of injury time, and there goes the final whistle. A goalless draw, a game really ruined by the high winds. Millwall not really taking full advantage of it in the second half when the wind was firmly at their backs. Portsmouth, if anything, looking the better organised side from what one could see under such difficult conditions, and certainly they defended well in the second half, particularly Stevenson and Went at the centre of their back four. So we're left then in difficult conditions with a very disappointing final scoreline that reads Millwall 0, Portsmouth 0.
And both managers regarded that more as a point lost, I think, than a point won, particularly as the 4 clubs in deepest trouble with them, Sheffield Wednesday, Oldham, Cardiff and York, all won. But on the rather sketchy evidence of that wind-ruined game, as I say, you can't help drawing the conclusion that Millwall's Gordon Jago has got a much tougher task ahead of him than Ian St John at Portsmouth. Incidentally, the news from Millwall is that Tommy Baldwin's loan period is now up. He will not be joining the Lions. He goes back to Stamford Bridge tomorrow. No goals, and one man we have to thank for that, of course, is our studio guest today, Bryan King of Millwall. It couldn't have been easy in that wind yesterday, Bryan.
No, I think, you know, that the wind is the most sort of, you know, well, it's much harder, you know, to play in wind than anything.
In fact, your goal kicks were just about getting outside the penalty area, not much further, were they?
Yeah, it was sort of, you know, you were sort of running up sort of 10 yards and then sort of kicking them. They were going for about 30 yards and then they were coming back to you, you know, you was kicking them and saving them.
Yeah. Mind you, you fellas aren't the best of friends when we come to the big match and we come to places like Millwall and you make fantastic saves. I wonder if you remember when we came a couple of years ago, when you were playing Brighton and Hove Albion, you produced what I think for us was the save of the season on that particular day.
Murray. Brown.
Bridges over his own head towards Beamish. That looked like a push in the back on Beamish. Oh, and a tremendous shot and a fantastic save by King. Remember it?
Just.
Well, I thought there was one in the same category yesterday when Portsmouth were really piling at you. The wind was behind them in the first half, and they were doing the right sort of thing by getting in their shots, weren't they?
Yeah, obviously, you know, when there is a wind behind you, obviously, you know, the side that's had it behind them, you know, it's going to be very, very difficult for us, especially, you know, to get it away. And you just got to expect shots from anywhere, you know, really.
Well, this one was really set up by Peter Marinello, who I thought had a pretty useful game for Portsmouth. Coming up now. Tell us your version of it, Brian.
Well, he just sort of went inside there and slipped it to this bloke, Billy Wilson, and then Tommy Baldwin went to challenge him, and it seemed to come past Tommy, and just sort of went for it, you know. Luckily, it went round the post, I think.
So you really only saw that very late?
Yes, it seemed to, even sort of when I had my hands on it, you know, I thought, oh, it's in the back of the net, you know, but I was glad to see when I looked round, and I sort of said to Kitch, you know, oh, thank God.
I always regard Millwall as a fairly boisterous, happy place, but it seemed pretty gloomy yesterday.
Yeah, I think, you know, obviously it's been the last 3 years after the time when we just missed out on sort of getting in the First Division. The year after that and the years up to now have sort of been more of an anti-climax for most of the lads, you know, because we were sort of in the First Division 1 minute, and then we were out the next, you know, and players like Barry Kitchener and Alan Dorney and myself, and you know, Dougie Alder, you know, it's been hard for us, you know. It's
been hard to gear yourself again
exactly.
for another big challenge.
Yeah, you know, and it's now, of course, when you're down the bottom, and we've had everything happen at the Den, you know, new manager and the board's been moved around and everything, new players leaving, players joining, and it's certainly very, very hard for us at the moment. And of course, nothing seems to be going right, especially when you're down the bottom, you know.
Well, exactly, and you had a chance or two yesterday, really, to snatch it, even when you were playing against the wind in the first half. And the best of all, I think, fell to Phil Summerhill here. Yeah. A nice ball played up there to Gordon Hill.
Yes.
Who really is a good little winger, and that's a beautiful cross, isn't it? I thought Phil Summerhill might have headed that one in,
well,
but in fact he changed his mind, I think.
Yeah, it looks so much easier sitting here, you know, but from where I was standing it looked a lot harder than that, you know, and of course Phil seems to be having a little bit of a lean sort of time at the moment. He's had 2 or 3 great headers cleared off the line and this sort of thing.
A brief word about Portsmouth.
Well, I thought they'd done what they wanted to do, you know, they come there, they didn't let us settle at all. They got everything away first.
They looked organised, didn't they, as well?
They did, yeah. You know, because they got these big men at the back. And, of course, you know, especially when we had the wind, especially, you know, they just seemed to be putting it up in the stand and kicking it out, no messing, you know.
Now, what about you in particular? I mean, your life over the last couple of 3 years has seemed to be, will Bryan King stay at Millwall or won't he? And now that they've bought Ray Goddard, I know Gordon Jago says that he's determined to keep you. How do you feel about that?
Well, obviously, at the time when he bought Ray, you know, it was, once again, there was a lot of speculation, you know. But I suppose I'm as ambitious as the next person, you know, and I know there's lads in our side that dearly love to get in the First Division, as most of them would, you know, and I'm no exception. Have you seen Gordon recently about... I have had a couple of little chats with him, you know, just to sort of discuss the position and what have you, and I can't really say much on here about it, you know, because, you know, that's just between me and him, really. But
you want to play in the First Division at some time in your career, Brian, that's the point.
Yeah, I'd love to, yeah. Yeah, as I say, as most of the players would, I think. But at the moment, it's a very hard fight for us, you know, and while I'm at Millwall, obviously, I'm going to try my damnedest to sort of, you know, keep us up there. So it's, you know, just one of those things, I think. You've just got to keep on battling on. Well, a new board, a new manager, and let's hope that they can battle themselves away from the bottom of the table. Bryan King, thanks very much.